People pleasing, low self-esteem, insecurities. That is what we're going to talk about today, because this is something that has plagued my life for all of it that I can remember. And as I know I'm like laughing about this, but it's not funny. I just do that. I'm a nervous laughter. I have a nervous laugh. People pleasing is an act of trying to make others happy, even if it means pushing aside your own needs. And the only reason you're gonna do that is if you have low self-esteem. Low self-esteem leads to insecurities. And these two combined give you the beautiful privilege of being a people pleaser. Hello. And as someone who is a recovering people pleaser and is constantly every day doing my best to not people please, I think it's my job to share with you what I've done to help me overcome that and to help me honestly heal my insecurities as much as I can. I wouldn't say I'm 100% healed, because that would be a lie, but I will say I'm learning so much more than ever before to love myself. I'm learning so much more than ever before to say no. I'm learning so much more than ever before to put my needs over other people. And that is a hard lesson to do, because when you're a people pleaser, you are someone who is going to overcommit yourself. You are someone who's gonna not say no. You're someone who's gonna overwork yourself. You're someone who is literally going to exhaust yourself and exhaust your mind because of other people. Whether it's a partnership, friendships, strangers, acquaintances, co-workers, clients, any of the above. You're going to overextend yourself because you're trying to be perceived as someone who can handle it and someone who is perfect. And you're not, baby girl, because I know that's something I'm trying to understand. And for so long, I've been trying to understand that. And little background on me, I grew up in Miami, Florida, born and raised. But let me tell you about growing up in Miami. It is a very toxic place to grow up in, and I will say that hand in hand. Granted, was it also so much fun, culturally enriching, the beautiful beaches, like the delicious Latin food? Yes. Did I love my childhood? 100%. But once you hit middle school, once you hit high school, women are talking about plastic surgery. Some of my friends had plastic surgery in high school. You know, we're learning about all of our cheating fathers and, you know, partners and boyfriends, and we're all trying to be perfect, and we idolized supermodels, have very easy access to clubs and drugs. And when you're in that environment growing up, it really shifts your perspective, and it really creates a lot of insecurities, because you are like, how am I going to attain this perfect hot body? Like, how do I make sure that my partner doesn't cheat on me, because everyone cheats here? Like, how do I attain perfection, right? How do I attain like being like a damsel but also being a badass, you know, professional? And it's this very interesting dance that really morphed my mind. And I realized the moment I left Miami, like I got out of a bubble of like very high standards, unrealistic standards of women. And I was able to breathe again. I was able to start going through my healing journey and learn to heal that. And this is how I've like been able to take this version of me that like had low self-esteem, had a lot of insecurities, and turn it into where I am now. This woman who is someone who is more sure on herself. Number one, I got clear on my big goals, and I did not negotiate that. So what happens when you get clear on your big goals? One, you have something to strive for, which is really cool. And two, you start building these skills that you didn't know you could have. And then what happens when you start building skills and you start proving yourself right? You get more courage. And when you get more courage, you actually create a lot more high self-esteem for yourself, because you're like, oh, I'm actually really capable, and like, oh, I actually did that, and that's actually something that I am good at now. On top of all that, one of the biggest things that helps you when you're a people pleaser and you have big goals, clear goals, you're not gonna let everyone into your life. Like, you're just not. Because when I didn't have clear goals, I just let everyone in, and I let everyone in because maybe they were like a childhood friend, or I let everyone in because, you know, they were super nice, and oh, there's no reason for me not to be friends with them, like they're cool. No no longer. I want to be friends with a certain caliber of people. I want to hang around with a certain type of person, and I want to be around with people who can guide my goals forward and who also see me as my truest, most authentic self. And I think for a long time, I just didn't have that clarity. So when I got clear on that, I could kind of be a little bit more choosy and selective with who was in my life. And the more I did that, the better quality of people were in my life and the fewer. And I think that was hard for me because I was always used to being around a lot of people and texting a lot of people and like going to all the parties and doing all these things. So like the more I got like clear on the quality of friends I wanted, the quality of partnerships I wanted, the quality of life I wanted, the less people I had around me. And it was a lot more solo time. And I'd rather, be in my own company than in company of people that don't align with me and don't align with where I'm trying to go. Getting the courage to be disliked. And this one is actually really hard. I still struggle with this one. I still struggle with this because I don't want to be disliked. I don't like making people angry. I think something I've learned and I'm trying to do is it worth me being distraught or sad or quiet, submissive to make sure they're okay? And I realized over time, like that wasn't. And now I've become a lot better at like having more courage and sharing my truth to people. And granted, it does take sometimes a little time. I wouldn't say I'm like very direct. I'm still in that process. So sometimes it'll take me, a few minutes, or it will take me like a few hours, sometimes 24 hours, 48 hours, a week before I speak my truth. But I will always speak my truth now. And even if it means someone might not dislike me, there might be some conflict, because I no longer want to be a doormat. What are my values? It's kind of very similar to the goals. Like, what do you value in life? For example, I value entrepreneurship. I value dreaming. It still have to be entrepreneurship, but I cannot handle people who are not dreamers. And it is hard for me to handle it. And for a long time, I just let it be. And I just was like, oh, okay, I can hang around those people. But over time, as I kind of said, like I realized how it was impacting me mentally and how I couldn't fully be 100% myself because I kept wanting to talk about big dreams and I want to talk about big things. And all the conversations I kept having were just so small, like talk, gossip, I understood that was just not my vibe. I do not like connecting in that way at all. It's not that I don't like talking about it sometimes, because sometimes it's nice to have like a little tea, or just not having big conversations, not having deep conversations. Like I value deep conversations. And I realized just over time, I'm like, if you're not giving me that, if it's just all surface level, like I can't really spend a lot of time with you. I'll spend some time with you, but I'm not gonna have a long-term friendship with you or relationship with you, because I value those things so much and I crave them, that it's nice to know those values within myself so that I can measure something up against it. This is actually something you can take away and do right now. Is I don't reply to text messages right away. I don't ask any of my friends. It's very rare for me to reply right away. And before, I used to be that person. Like I click a minute, you send me a message, I'm replying. God forbid I leave you on red for more than like a minute. I actually don't have my red receipts on, but I didn't. I was that person who was just like replying. And now like I won't. I just won't do it, because if I'm not in a state of replying, if I'm not in a state of like, okay, I can be present with this reply, if I'm not in that state, I'm not going to reply to you, because I realized I would just drive myself crazy and be like really anxious all the time, because I'm like replying to people and then I'm doing other things and I'm doing this, and it was just like I was not present. So that's like a really big thing that actually is helping me not be a people pleaser, because no one's paying me enough to be on demand. Like I think, maybe my mom, she gave birth to me, so she's got that right. And my partner, probably like my closest friends, but for the most part, no one has that energetic exchange of that like privilege, because it's a privilege. So I think when you understand that, it'll be easier. Another thing I'm learning is not saying yes right away. This one's hard. Surrounding yourself with people who can hold you accountable to not be a people pleaser. And my partner is like really one of those persons that like can really help me like hold myself accountable to no longer being a people pleaser. And I learned so much from him. He's really good at not saying yes right away. He's very much like, oh, let me think about it. Or like, let me chat with Amber and like, see like where we're at. Me on the other hand, very much like, yes, so down. That sounds great. Let's do it. And I think that is a people pleaser reaction, because you don't want to disappoint anyone, but then what ends up happening is you disappoint people. Me learning to pause and not say yes is a lesson I'm trying to do my best to learn, and I'm learning it right now, and a practice that I'm learning right now, which leads me to in order to raise your self-esteem, it's doing my daily practices. Honestly, when I do my daily practices was meditation, tapping, journaling, yoga, like moving my body, being in nature if I could that day. When I do that every single day, I ground myself in me and in who I am and what I'm meant to be. And I fall so deeply in love with myself in those moments that I'm like, this person, I need to nurture her. I need to take care of her. I need to make sure she's good. The more you do that, the more you're going to stop wanting to please other people when it hurts you, right? When it's not something aligned with you. So I think having a daily practice is super powerful. And I'll talk about my morning routine and my daily practices on here soon. That's something that is absolutely game changer. And then I think the last thing when it comes to people pleasing is not tolerating bad behavior. I do not tolerate bad behavior anymore. I do not tolerate people talking to me a certain way. I do not tolerate anything as much anymore. Like, I'm very strict with how people communicate with me. I'm very strict with how people ask something of me because I have raised my standards a lot. And this has taken time. So it'll be a slow practice, but you will get there. And that is such a big one because when you raise your standards, everything starts raising and you start not accepting people in your life that are not going to change, that are not here to communicate properly, that are not going to do their part. And you start feeling more empowered, which is really powerful. Empowerment is such a big part of like releasing low self-esteem and insecurities. I am currently still implementing these, and I will probably implement these for a while until it's really ingrained in me that I'm awesome and I'm enough and I don't need other people to make me feel that way, that everything is internal, that I get to choose my life and I am the director and conductor of where I want to go, and the people in my life who want to be here are going to be here, and I don't need to hold on to them because I trust that they want to be here with me, right? And that's kind of what I've learned over time. So I hope this helps. Let me know which practice was your favorite in the comments below, and always remember, if it feels good, hit that subscribe button. Bye.